Hi, Maria. Thanks for joining us today. So obviously we have an issue that we need to talk about concerning your being a student here at Tri-C and some new rules that are implemented. First of all, let's get a little background information now. What classes are you taking right now?
Right now I am taking women's studies, a math class, and physical education. And there's one more. My mind is just going. Well, I know I have a full load. Full load of classes.
A full load. What are you majoring in?
Urban studies.
Urban studies.
Public administration.
How long have you been here at Tri-C?
I'm a sophomore.
A sophomore. When did you start?
I started in the summer of 2010.
And when do you anticipate to graduate?
May of 2013.
What are your plans next year?
My plans next year are to enroll in CSU and start my major there. Get into my, major classes.
If I might ask, what kind of a GPA are you at right now?
I'm like a 2.90. Close to a 3.0.
It's very close, yeah. So, getting to the situation at hand, how long have you been a part of the Student Ambassador Program?
I was there for a year. I was a student ambassador for a year.
A whole year? How was your interest piqued into the program? Were you asked to join, or did you?
Yes, I was sent an email. First I was sent an email. Then I went into the student ambassador supervisor and I spoke to her and asked her how do I go about doing it. And she gave me an application. I filled it out and I turned it in.
What kind of duties do student ambassadors do around campus here?
We do so many duties. When I was student ambassador, I helped out with the students, helping them enroll and schedule their classes, learn how to work the computers. I would walk them to their classes, direct them to where they needed to go, assist administration. We had a great deal of duties.
Part of that is introducing the students to the new freshman class into doing things
Correct.
around here, right?
Correct.
What is that like? So you're actually like on a podium and you're talking to a bunch of people?
Well, for new student orientation, yes, I did get to speak to the new students and introduce the little things that we did around here, which were really big things. But yeah, I assisted the new students and the established students. And to this day, I still help students.
To this day?
Yeah.
There have been new policies implemented at Tri-C. Can you walk me through how this has impacted you then as a student ambassador?
Yes. Well, I'm no longer a student ambassador. They had me take a drug test and they had me submit a background check. I passed the background check. No, excuse me, I passed the drug test. But the background check, because I had a felony, 14 to 16 years old, I was no longer allowed to be a student ambassador.
How old were you when you had this felony?
I had just turned 19.
So you just turned 19. And can you tell me what it is?
Yeah, it's a felonious assault. And I am 37 years old now.
And since then, there's no other mark on your record that you know of?
No.
So, starting the beginning of this year, when did all this take place? When they told you about the background check? What month?
It was in July.
So it was in July. And so they found out, you submitted the background check and you thought, whatever you did happened years and years ago. So what was your feeling when you found
But
out?
when I first filled out the application to become a student ambassador, I was upfront. I asked right away before I submit this application, this is what you need to know. I was told, don't worry about it. So I went and then became an ambassador, and a year later, I assumed that a new human resources came in and implemented this new rule, this policy that said anyone with a felony or any kind of criminal background or whatever would not be allowed to work for the school or volunteer.
How did you find out? Did they send you an email? Did they call you?
No, yeah, my supervisor called me,
Who was your supervisor?
Miss Vivian Garth.
And so she had been your supervisor this whole time?
Yes.
What did she say to you?
She really didn't want to, she had to tell me, but she really didn't know how to tell me. But, she, told me about the new human resources department implementing this rule, and I happened to fall on that. So I wouldn't be allowed no more. So it was so hard for me to pack up my shirts, but I did.
Wow. The when they told you this, and in the following days, did they give you any kind of recourse you could follow to try to appeal to a higher level?
No.
And so what are you doing now to get this? Have you written letters to anybody, like the campus president or the?
I spoke to the campus president. I haven't went any further than that with you guys. But I've been a student here and still continuing to do what I need to do. And since a lot of the students here know me as Maria the Ambassador, she'll help you. They still come to me to this day and ask me for my help, and I help them.
So, your thoughts on education is to launch someone into a career. This is a kind of a learning point, and this happening to you. What is your thoughts then on moving forward from here, and other people that you've
Right.
undoubtedly served your time and did your time for whatever you did. And what's going on now?
At first, when I first found out about my position, I was mad, real mad. And I said, no, I'm not gonna go back there. I was so frustrated with Tracy because I thought they just closed the door on me. But then I said, no, this is me. I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna continue to do what I need to do. Because where one door closes, another shall open. And that's what I truly believe.
Do you hold any animosity toward the Tri-C administration?
No, I don't. If I did, I would not be a student here still.
If there's a platform to voice this out into a public forum to get other people to comment on whether or not we should have student ambassadors and volunteers and people involved as students be subject to this kind of rule, what stand would you take?
The stand I would take, I would pursue it. I would make sure and try my hardest to get all these quiet voices heard. I would let them know, stand up with me. We did our time.
You just said something that you're glad your voice is being heard. Tell me, just before that, you said that a lot of people need to stand up and speak out.
Right.
And I'm sure there's a lot more people in your situation on our campus
There is.
that is doing this. So what do you think a plan of action is to do you know anybody personally?
Well, actually, I was in class today, and there was a gentleman speaking and said that he had to change his major due to his felony.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to get into it because, you know, the whole class was there.
Mm-hmm.
But I just looked at him and said, I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know there's, you know, there were once upon a time probably good 12, 14 of us ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's like, I think, 6 to 7 ambassadors left after they did this new room.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So going back to when you first found out about this, did they did they give you any instructions when you were applying? Did you have to reapply to be a student ambassador in July, or back in June or July?
yes. No, in July is when they let me go.
Mm-hmm.
But between semesters, yes, we would, you know, we would get evaluated.
Mm-hmm.
And my last evaluations were all above excellence. My last evaluation.
So your sentiment now is you're a forgiving person. You're still a student here.
Right.
You're happy with your classes. But back then, when after you had given a lot of your time, and student ambassadors do get paid, correct?
Yes.
And it's like having a job,
Right.
and you're the face of Tri-C for
Right.
other students. Um, was this like a slap in the face to you?
Yes.
It was so, I mean, tell me how shocking it was.
I mean, it was so shocking. I didn't want to come back. I felt embarrassed.
Mhm.
But then I said, you know what? How am I going to feel embarrassed and help everyone else? How? So that's when I said, you know what? I'm going to, you know, come to school and I'm going to do what I always do.
Since then, have you received support from anybody else? Maybe a teacher, maybe a counselor, or
Yes. A
uh,
lot of support. You know, I still go visit my supervisor. And there were 3 supervisors. I still go visit them. You know, they embrace me, and, you know,
mhm.
like nothing's ever happened.
Um, you know, policy issues are set from the top and it trickles down. Have they made any um, any desire to fight on your behalf to maybe their superiors, or take it to the people that need
Yes,
to
they
hear about
did.
it?
Yes, they did. How far, I do not know, but yes, they did. And when it finally came down to it, it was no.
We have a person that sits on the board of trustees as a student. They're called the student board scholar. Have you talked with them about this issue, that they can relay this to the board of trustees?
No, I haven't.
Oh, oh, I see. Okay. Um, if you had an opportunity to talk to the powers that be, you know, the board of trustees are the people that set this up, and they hold meetings once a month. Is this something that you would be interested in, if you can get some other people with you to present on the agenda, just so you can let your voice be heard at the upper level?
Yes.
Well, that's great. Um, I know we're on the record still, but we can relax now. We have. I was talking with our advisor, Jack Hagan, and we talked about probably like having a forum here in this main office. So we're gonna rent this room, put up a speaker, put up, you know, signs that say, you know, let's talk. Let's see if we can get someone from the administration to answer questions. So that's something we'd like to do for you, and we can have this as a continuing coverage in our newspaper in coming issues. And then sometime in the future, go up to the board and present. This is after the story is published. This is after I go and interview Dr. Scope, and if I go all the way up to the president, you know, it could be. I think this issue is just really about. It's unfair because you obviously did something wrong, but you also paid for those consequences.
Right.
How did you pay for them?
2 years probation. I did 2 years probation. And I think it was so long ago, I don't remember. I did some community service.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I did. I paid. And it feels like I'm still paying.
Mm-hmm. Could you touch base a little bit about the details of the assault and what happened a long time ago?
Yes, I went down to the flats with a group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
A fight broke out between some girls. One of the girls had a bat on her hand, and she hit the other girl in the face with it.
Mm-hmm.
Since at the time we all had like black shirts on, same color shirts, back then it was wild hairstyles, they ended up pulling me out of the back seat of the car. And the victim says, yes, that's her. And when you have the victim saying, that's you, when really I know in my heart it wasn't me. There's nothing I could do. So they took me in, they charged me, and
You pleaded not guilty first, then you changed your plea?
yes. So after speaking to at the time was a public defender, he told me that was the best thing for me to do was to change my plea.
Did you have any problems getting through your probation? Some people have problems.
No, as a matter of fact, I did 2 years. I was given 2 years, but they let me off a year ahead for good time,
Oh.
And I had everything paid off.
All right, we're almost done. So, as we move forward from back then to the present, you've had jobs.
Yes.
Where have you worked at?
I was a teacher assistant. I worked at Medical Mutual. I worked at Pepsi Cola. I worked at Vantage Point Title Agency. And now I'm here.
So, you have good values and morals as a person. Who do you look up to someone to, I mean, how did you become who you are? Because you have a drive for life and you strive to do good. How did you learn that?
I first learned it through my parents, my mother and father. But in 2001, I was involved in a car accident that left me in a coma for about a good 2 months, in the hospital for 4 months. I couldn't walk and talk. I had to take 2 years of consistent rehabilitation, speech therapist. So I learned to appreciate life for what it is.
What are your goals after Tri-C, after CSU?
After CSU, my long-term goals are to finally be established with school, be married, raise my grandchildren, help my children raise their grandchildren, and just live happily ever after. And have a good job, have a good career.
And your fear, do you have a fear of this creeping up again in the future?
Yes.
So if you can learn to deal with it now and see to overcome, those things could be different in the future. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I urge anyone that's walking the shoes that I walk to come out. Come out and join me and get help. We can do this.